Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker. Thanks so much for joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it very, very much. And you know, we always like to turn our attention and find out from the people who have boots on the ground, who are actually providing for and taking care of everyone's safety. Very glad to welcome back to the program Lieutenant Travis Terrio. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you know, as chief of detectives, you guys see a whole lot. But things kind of changed when Ida hit. We all became everybody dealing with the storm, right?
Yeah. Everybody was pulling, multitasking, and really stepping up and doing whatever we had to do to help out the parish.
How did the building do?
So, our office, the Detective Bureau, we were pushed out of that building. We lost our roof, and we had to relocate. And at least the guys, I can commend the guys that work for me. They really stepped up, and we kind of just rolled with the punches and got everything up and going again, and everybody's kind of gotten back in the groove and got back to work.
One of the things that I don't know that people think about very much, I think about case files, and there are a lot of things that are on computer, but there's a lot of things on paper as well.
Right. So actually, when the storm was hitting, and we were notified that we had lost the roof. Once the wind had calmed down enough, me and a couple of the other guys, we went in and we were able to save everything.
Wow.
That's where we didn't lose any evidence, and we had a lot of important stuff and salvaged as much as we could.
Yeah, because a lot of people are thinking about their house. A lot of people are thinking about, oh my gosh, what do I do? You guys were thinking about, let's not lose any evidence.
Correct.
And then that's a really big deal.
And we were very fortunate. We were able to save everything.
That's fantastic. Well, an excellent job doing that. Let's talk a little bit about the people on the force, people with HPD. How did they fare?
We had several guys and gals, both in our police officers and some of our dispatchers. They lost everything.
Wow.
We had one officer I seen. I talked to him. Somebody sent him pictures. His whole mobile home had it pretty much exploded and it was gone, and he just strapped on his boots and continued working. Some of them got out, just the stuff that was in their bag. They weren't able to stay home and save anything, but they just continued to work even after the storm. But but our counterparts, outside of the parish, really came in and gave those guys, whatever they needed. They brought us supplies. We really had a lot of people helping us out.
See, and that's one thing that was rather remarkable to me. I'm fortunate that one of my best friends, he and his wife kind of work with the parish, when she works at for the parish itself, and just all of the support that both the city, outside of the city, within the parish, all the support that was there, it allowed for people like you guys to really keep working. Some people, I know people working out of duffel bags, not knowing where their meal was or not knowing where a shower was.
Right. Majority of the department was living out of their car for probably at least the first month.
The first month.
Yeah.
30 days living out of your car. And it's one of those things where I just don't want people to think that, oh yeah, those guys got all taken care of and they brought things. For a month when you live out of your car, that's real.
Yeah.
And you guys were able to just still continue your shifts, work through everything, make sure that we kept everybody as safe as possible. And I know we ended up having some looting issues and those kinds of things, but y'all kept those to a minimum.
Yeah. A lot of car patrol guys and the guys that were out there really hustled and really did a great job, keeping the city safe as possible during those times.
Yeah. And working extra shifts, giving up vacation time, that kind of stuff. It's just really, it's tough, but you guys do it when you have to.
Yeah. And the guys, they were emotionally drained. We had one officer who was in a wreck. He was hurt, and we had another one. We lost in the line of duty with Austin Bush.
Yeah.
So the guys were both physically and mentally drained by the end of it all. Because the officer we lost, Austin, losing Austin Bush, he was really a great guy. He had a bright future.
Yeah, and so young.
Yeah.
And just when you lose a brother like that, it really kind of hits home.
Right.
And it makes things difficult, because you guys already have a very mentally and physically challenging job, and now we add in, we got COVID we've been dealing with for 2 years. Then we add in this very dramatic storm that tears apart some people's homes, rips off the roof of where you work, and then you're already dealing with the loss of a really good officer with a very bright future, and that was right after the storm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about it just a couple weeks after the storm hit, so just a really tough time.
Yeah.
But y'all pull together like you always do. It's just one of those things where you help each other, you work through it. And one of the things that's also very, very good and available is you guys have the option for getting some help, being able to talk to people, right?
Yeah, the option's always there. If any of the officers ever need to talk to someone, we make sure that we get the proper counseling that they would need.
Nice employee assistance program, which is just always really good. I know we got some local people that are really good. As we roll out of this first segment, did you guys have anybody that had to relocate?
Several.
Okay.
Yeah. And we still have some people that still aren't truly back in their homes yet.
Okay, so a lot of people are still displaced. I'm living in my driveway. I mean, I get it.
And that's pretty much what it is. But the officers that were living in apartments that had to leave, then now I think most of them, those are probably living in campers, but spread out throughout the parish.
Spread out throughout the parish. Travis, it's one of those things that we see a little bit too much of. We hate to see it around the holidays, but the DWIs are starting to rear its ugly head and take some young lives. It's just kind of a tough thing.
Yeah. The increase in DWI fatalities lately has been, very, very alarming. Mm-hmm. We've had some very young, bright children that have been lost to DWIs, and at no fault of their own.
Right.
Recently, me and my family were coming back from Baton Rouge, and we weren't far behind the one that occurred in Jack Bay, where the 3 young ladies were all killed by a drunk driver. And then they had 4 that were killed earlier that night in Terrebonne Parish. That was 7 young lives lost.
Right.
In one night. It's and DWIs. There's really no reason for it anymore.
That's exactly right.
By this point in time, everyone has been well educated on the dangers of driving intoxicated.
Right.
And there's no reason for it. We have Uber, we have cabs, and we all have friends.
Yep.
I'm fairly certain that there's somebody that'll get out their bed and come get you.
And it's rather traumatic. And I don't think people understand. Like, I heard the news. I wasn't even in the state, and I heard the news, and it was really dramatic for me. Mm-hmm. But it's traumatic for these families, and it was rather traumatic for yours as you were close to it.
Yeah. We rolled up, and cars were on fire, and I went and walked up to see what was going on, and realized that we had 3 young people had been lost. And went back and told my daughter, and we turned around and made our way back into town. But I don't know if it's a pride thing that people think that they don't want to admit that they need someone to bring them home, or what. But it's there's no reason to drive drunk.
I think there's a couple of factors at play in. One is the arrogance that I've done it before, I can do it again.
Right.
And secondly is the impaired thinking because of the amount of drinking.
Right.
And I don't know that people are always really good about being aware of how debilitated they may be or how their reaction time is impacted.
Right. Look, and everyone's quick. If they see a crime taking place, they're gonna try and stop that person, or do something. But everyone's not so quick to say, hey, you don't need to drive. Sometimes the sober ones need to step up and say, hey, let me bring you home tonight.
What a great point, because I think it's the responsibility for all of us, that all of us need to be aware of making sure that we're taking care of our community. Mm-hmm. And because if you're with someone at a party and and you can tell that they've had too much to drink, we need to really step up. It's a really great point. It's something that we can do for our community. I get nervous about driving on, some Christmas Eve sometimes and New Year's Eve. I try and find a way to be somewhere where my family and I are not exposed to driving.
Right.
Just because there's a number of people that I think may end up making a bad decision. And here in November, we've had 16 lives lost.
Right.
just in the month of November. I know December's better, but we've still had several lost in the month of December.
Yeah, look, on holidays, I always rather see my kids at home with us. You know?
Yeah, yeah. Let's plan something for at home.
Yeah.
You know, I asked a couple of my friends. I was able to socially play a little tennis yesterday. I wished them Happy New Year. Kind of asked what they were doing. All of them said, "We're staying home. We're gonna maybe have a quiet dinner early. We're gonna stay home. The grandkids are coming over. We're gonna stay at home." And I think that that's one of those things where people who are very aware and conscious of it are gonna try to stay home because of the potential issues.
Yeah, hopefully we don't have any. You know.
Yeah,
But,
that's the goal. We want zero DWIs and zero deaths and accidents.
The state police had that program. Was it zero for December or something
Yes.
like that? It was called.
Yes.
And I don't think we've ever achieved that goal.
No, we haven't. We got close. There was
Yeah.
1 year. In fact, I'm fortunate that I get to spend some time with your brothers at State Troop, and they had 1 year. We had only one, and I
Yeah.
think that was the closest since they started that program.
Yeah.
And we want zero for the rest of the holidays. How about that?
That'd be great.
Zero for the rest of the holidays and into the new year. We don't want or need that. But you bring up a great point about all of our job to be aware of that. And whether you're hosting a party or you're just at a party or you're just out with friends, be aware and do something about it. You know?
Everybody should have a designated driver or a plan. Don't go out and drink and then try and make your plan.
Yeah. Don't make your plan after you've already started drinking. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
You know, it's kind of like there's a commercial that comes out that says, you know, you don't call the play after it starts.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, don't make your plan after you've already started drinking.
Yeah, the coach doesn't start his plan after kickoff.
Yeah, exactly. None of those things can take place.
Yeah.
You know, but it's so very good that we're trying to bring awareness to it. Yourself, you know, we talk a lot about it through. You know, we're fortunate to have lots of different law enforcement on talking about the importance of that. As chief of detectives, we know that you've got a large task about making sure that people are safe, making sure that when there is something that happens, you address it. But boy, it's nice to be able to take care of things before they happen, right?
Yeah, a little preventive maintenance.
Yeah, it would be really nice. So let's talk a little bit about the law and what it is for fireworks in the city limits.
So in the city limits, you cannot discharge discharge fireworks.
Or firearms.
Or firearms.
That's right.
Yeah.
We don't want you to do either one.
Either one, but no discharging of fireworks within the city limits. You know, and look, and if you live outside the city, you know, sometimes we need to take a common sense approach to things, and you know, if you know that it absolutely annoys your neighbors, or maybe we need to be a little courteous whenever we're doing that. You know, and if you're going to discharge the fireworks, do it at proper times. You know,
Yeah, it's not the fireworks necessarily. For me, it's the fireworks that go on until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
See, that's kind of the issue that I have with it.
Yeah, and you know, like I enjoy shooting fireworks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's fun to do with your kids.
Right.
Under proper supervision. You
Yeah.
know, I would never let my kids are grown now, but you know, when your kids are 4 and 5 years old, you don't want to just cut them loose with a little lighter stick and tell you, hey, go pop fireworks.
Right.
You know, we need to be responsible parents and responsible adults and make sure our kids, you know, have an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, and we don't need to be holding Roman candles and lighting them and shooting them at people. I mean, that's just some of those things that people have done. They've been serious injuries and deaths
Yeah.
because they're not realizing, and especially if their vehicles around.
Right. You know, and it's pretty cool that we are going to get to shoot fireworks off in the parish now.
Right.
You know, and people just need not abuse it.
Right.
You know?
We need to take advantage of the opportunity. For people that want to enjoy it, let's do it, but let's just be smart.
Yeah.
It's just like a DWI. Have a plan.
Have a plan.
Make a plan. Don't just go buy a bunch of fireworks and then not know which ones are where, or put them in a big pile and you give a 4-year-old a lighter stick and
go sit down and continue drinking while the kids play with fireworks.
Right.
That's just not the thing we want to do. You know,
Right.
you want to keep your fireworks at a safe distance. You know, if whatever you're gonna light, you want to walk off, and you don't want that firework going and landing in the box of the rest of them, and then somebody's gonna get hurt.
Right, and you certainly don't want that box sitting in the back of maybe an open tailgate in a vehicle. We need to be aware of that. All of our vehicles have some sort of gas or oil in them.
Yeah, and look, you need a good firm surface to where they're not shooting and bouncing and hitting the neighbors' homes and different things like that. Because some of these fireworks, they can shoot a pretty good distance.
Yeah, and they don't always go exactly where you think they're going to go.
They
Right?
never go where you think they're gonna go.
Yeah, we want them to go up.
Yeah.
But you're exactly right. I mean, we've got to have that distance and be aware of that. I mean, some of these fireworks have a whole lot of power behind them.
Yeah. Those mortars seem like they pack a pretty good punch. I wouldn't want to get hit with one.
Yeah. And there's a range, I think, when people get really excited about wanting fireworks and wanting big fireworks. And there are some people that just love that. Their whole life, it's just what they love to do.
People need to remember, if you're going to discharge fireworks, you're responsible for whatever that firework does.
That's the thing that I don't think people realize. When you discharge a firearm, you're certainly responsible for whatever that firearm does. But it's the same law for fireworks.
Yeah. And look, and that brings up another point. Discharging firearms. New Year's Eve, we know we have people that have a tendency of firing off a weapon, around midnight. It's just not cool, because what goes up must come down, and it's gonna come down and kill somebody.
You just don't know where that bullet's going to land.
Right.
Shooting into the air is a huge potential risk.
Yeah, shooting into the air and hoping for the best isn't really good.
And it's just not smart. So it's something that people need to really be aware of. And that's some of the holiday stuff. Well, what's something going into the new year that we just really need to focus a little bit more on, Travis, from your perspective?
Look, from my perspective, something that we need to start, responsible gun ownership.
Wow.
If we're gonna have a weapon, let's not leave it in our vehicle. Let's make sure our cars are locked at night, because it's shocking to know how many firearms make it into hands of criminals just through car burglaries.
Because we leave them in the car and/or leave it unlocked, and whether it's locked or not, just don't leave it in your car.
I'm a huge proponent of responsible gun ownership.
Because it's okay to own a gun. It is within your legal right to own a gun.
That's
But be responsible with it.
That's right. Let's not arm someone else with it. Let's keep it for us.
And so a couple of things that we learned tonight is, if you see somebody that's had too much to drink, do something or say something.
Correct.
If you're going to do fireworks, it's okay to do fireworks, but be intelligent about it. Be smart about it. Have a plan. And probably the most important thing is, if you're going to own a gun, have some responsibility with it, both in considering the shooting at midnight and are leaving it in your car. Because what we're doing is we're arming people who would do something like break into a vehicle. We're arming someone that may take them to the next level of ending up dealing with a fatality because of that.
And I see the numbers when we go through the reports, of how many firearms are stolen just through car burglaries.
It's a much better way to do it. We're going to try and do better in the new year.
Sounds great.
Lieutenant, we appreciate you coming on, as always. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
All right. And guys, you know what? It's just one of those things. We want to wish you a very, very happy new year. We want to wish you all the love and luck in the new year. But we ask you to be responsible, take care of the people around you, and take care of your kids and your family. So happy new year. And that'll do it for this edition of Bayou Time. Don't go anywhere. A lot more local programming when we continue.